There is no good way to kill somebody. Most countries in the rest of the world have given up the death penalty because they found it's inhumane, barbaric, and that it demeans them as people. The United States continues to cling to it, and over time, from hanging, the electric chair, to the gas chamber, the firing squad, lethal injection, in a kind of vain attempt to find a way to humanize killing somebody, which is a contradiction in terms. Paul House was exonerated today in Tennessee, and after 24 years in prison, having been convicted of a murder he did not commit, in prison he contracted or developed a multiple sclerosis, and his condition deteriorated terribly. Paul House is now in a wheelchair. Can you imagine the kind of health care he got while he was in prison on death row with the state of Tennessee intending to execute him? Today he's a free man in a wheelchair, a free man who is not expected to live much longer. And what his exoneration tells us is that the death penalty is corrupted to the point of disrepair. We cannot continue to so disparage life as to determine that some people are disposable. Some human beings are disposable simply because we believe they have committed a heinous crime. Paul House's case is he's now 132, meaning 132 people have been accused, tried, convicted, sentenced to death, and ultimately, before they were executed, found to have not been guilty of the crime and have been exonerated and released. What we don't know is how many people have been innocent and executed. We all recognize the right of self-defense, either national or personal, and that there are times when one must defend oneself. But to suggest that we are defending ourselves against a killer who is shackled, helpless, and caged by killing him or her is hypocrisy in the nth degree. Well, I think it's important to understand that some people suggest that vengeance, in fact, revenge, is a sacrament of some sort and needs to be responded to appropriately only by shedding blood. That, to me, is really dangerous thinking. If my daughter or my wife were raped and murdered, I would obviously be furious and want to strangle the perpetrator with my bare hands. But it is the very nature of the criminal justice system, our legal system, that you take the emotion out of it by trying a person based on the facts of the case before a jury of his or her peers and reach a conclusion in law without the emotional element, because we know that the emotional element leads us down these terrible aisles toward torture and toward the kinds of brutality that we as a society have chosen to forswear. I believe in rehabilitation. I believe a thoughtful and just criminal justice system can play a role in revitalizing and rehabilitating people. Unfortunately, in this country, we gave up rehabilitation some years ago. What we have to do is reinvest in the idea that all people have value and that we can find that value. And in the cases where we can't, in the cases where people are so broken and so devastated by their life experience that they simply can never be allowed to be free in society, we can keep them in prison for the rest of their natural lives. But in so many cases, a period of incarceration with education, with socialization efforts to be made, can transform people into productive citizens. I think we'd never give up on a human being. I think the human spirit is quite an extraordinary thing that we should always cherish.